For a long time, I've been looking for a perfect all-in-one lens that I could just take one lens with me everywhere and not have to worry about carrying any other lenses. And I think I finally found it in the Sony 24-105. All right, we're here. Looks like it's gonna be a nice day. It's cold right now, but you know, it's almost winter. So time to get the bag packed, and then we're going to see what sort of stuff we can do with this lens, which I'm excited about. This is gonna be a really great location. We'll see how far we can go along the shore. Tide's going out, low tide's in about a half an hour. So this is our best chance to walk on the shore. We'll have to come back through the woods on our way home today. That also means we got to go down there. So. Well, that didn't last long, but now we're just going to keep hiking through the woods, find the path, or maybe just follow the shoreline. So the reason I got this lens, and the reason you might want to consider this lens, it's a really great all-in-one lens. And anytime I can take just one lens means I save a little weight. And this lens, being that it has optical image stabilization built in, a few other things, a nice amount of reach, 24-105, makes it really an ideal all-in-one lens to hike around, to take with you if you only want to have one lens. For me, that's a big deal because of weather, because of weight. It's just nice. I'm curious to see how the optical image stabilization will work and how the image quality is. 24mm is a little tight to be able to handhold and vlog like this, but it's not bad. And if you put it on a little tripod like I am right now, then you can get away with it no problem. But a big reason you should consider this is optical image stabilization. When paired with active stabilization in the Sony bodies, or IBIS if your body has that, it's fantastic because you can get away with handheld walking shots like this and not really worry about whether or not your shots are going to come off usable. Checking out some of the photos so far, I'm pretty impressed. The image quality is great. It definitely improves a tiny bit when you stop down 5.6 to f8 in there, but not much. Even wide open at f4 at 24mm, the images look great. They're sharp all the way out. Tiny bit of vignetting, but not bad at all. The cool thing is too, you can get a pretty close focus distance with this too, which gives you a little bit of a macro capability. Now, it's not like some of the lenses that Tamron's been putting out, but it is very good and can give you some really nice results. But one of the main reasons that I'm excited for this lens, and I've been excited to try it out, and why I spent $1,200 of my own money on it, is to be able to get that extra zoom range up to 105mm. So I'm in places like this, sometimes you want to crop in just a little bit or zoom in a little bit and get a little tighter shot of some of the mountains or some of the surrounding area. And there's another reason I wanted a little extra zoom. When I'm doing these sorts of things, talking to you and filming myself, I like to be able to put myself at about 35 to 50mm on the camera. And what that does is it compresses the background a little bit and gives you a much more realistic, true to life representation of the size and the scale of the landscape that I'm generally out filming and testing these pieces of equipment in. So for example, this is 24mm. Nice, I'm about 2 feet away, 2.5 feet away from the camera, able to talk to you. The microphone, the shotgun mic on top is able to pick me up really clearly. But notice the background, the mountains seem a little further away because I'm right up in the forefront. So we're gonna put it down to about 40 something-ish millimeters. Now the difference is I'm about 3.5, maybe 4 feet away from the camera, but as you can see, the mountain's got a lot bigger in the background compared to me. Now I could stand even further away, but I'd have to use a different microphone. It is really nice to be able to do this and get a little bit more compressed background, which, you know, brings the more true to life of what you see when you're standing in these places. And it just, I feel like, gives a little bit better experience overall. So let's check out the difference between 24 millimeters up to 105 millimeters and what you can do with it as a telephoto lens for photos and video work. There's some pretty good subject matter around here to take pictures of. So while this lens is a little heavier than other lenses on the market, the fact that you only have to take one lens with you to places like this really makes a big difference. And the fact that it has optical steady shot to assist the IBIS in the camera and the active steady shot in the camera makes a huge difference, especially when you're shooting handheld, which I do a lot because of places that I go. I don't want to carry a lot of stuff with me, and that little bit of extra stabilization makes a big difference, both for video and photo mode, as you can see here. I was able to handheld shots and take it all the way down to 1/5 of a second, which is pretty slow and plenty to be able to slow down water and make waterfalls look like what you've seen. But not only that, when I'm filming handheld running gun type stuff, it really helps to smooth out everything that I do with my hands, any movements I make, especially when I'm on uneven ground. And the big difference is when I'm shooting in 4K 120, which the A7S III can do really well, it gives me just that little bit of extra stabilization when active steady shot is not available in 4K 120. Now, if you shoot in 4K 60, you get the added benefit of active steady shot, which gives you a whole lot more smooth footage. But the optical steady shot really does make a difference in your handheld footage, which it makes this a great lens to pick if you're going to be out just with one lens and running around. Another reason I picked this lens up is because when I'm out doing stuff like this in not great weather, it is weather sealed, and so having an all-in-one lens that is weather sealed with a weather sealed body like the A7S III means I don't have to take a lens off out when it's really, really cold, when it's raining, when it's snowing, or in dusty locations, anything like that. It keeps the camera body safer, it keeps the lens safer because I'm not switching out those lenses. Occasionally, I probably will have to take a couple of other lenses with me, especially when I start doing more astrophotography stuff here in just a little bit. But for now, this lens has been excellent, and even with the aperture at f4, I can use it in pretty low light situations because the Sonys have such great low light performance. Now, one thing that's fantastic about this lens, if you pair it especially with the newer Sony bodies, is the autofocus system. It grabs your face, grabs your eye, and the autofocus motors work really well to track you right through a scene. Regardless of what's going on around you, you get great solid autofocus that's very fast and very accurate. A nice thing about this lens is it does have the autofocus manual focus switch built on the lens, as well as turning steady shot on or off, so you can turn off any sort of stabilization on or off really easily, and it has a programmable button. One thing a lot of times we think about at f4 is that we can't really blow out the background, get out of focus background, or get that depth. But with 105 millimeters, which is what the lens is at right now, you actually can. It depends more on how close your subject is to the camera as opposed to how far away the background is from you. And I found that at f4, actually, I really like f4. It's kind of a sweet spot for really good image quality, really nice sharpness, but also to give you just a good amount of separation of your subject from the background. Now, obviously, the closer I get to the lens at 105, the more blown out the background is going to get. This is a little tight and maybe a little uncomfortable, so let's go back to a regular view. This lens gives you some really good control over your depth of field. And another really big thing that I've noticed about this lens, as opposed to say my 24mm G Master, which I love, and it's a fantastic astrophotography lens, but there's a lot of focus breathing on the G Master lenses. This lens has very, very little focus breathing, actually almost none, which makes it excellent for being able to do some focus pulls, some rack focusing, and it just gives you a lot more options for what you can do. And as a running gun lens, that makes it really nice, especially if you're shooting yourself like I am now, where you don't want to have somebody checking everything out for you. Now, $1,400, this is not a cheap lens. You can find it on sale for $1,200, maybe $1,100, depending on the sale, but it isn't a cheap lens. But if you're going to just buy one lens to put on your camera, you want it to be good quality, to shoot everything, and to be very durable. Now, on my way out hiking, I did slip and fall on the camera and the lens. Nothing was damaged, thank God, everything still works. But it is a testament to the build quality of the lens. It's built well and will handle a lot of abuse and certainly a lot of weather situations because it's weather sealed from Sony. And of course, if you want to pick up this lens, there are links in the description, but I would recommend you wait until it's on sale for $1,100 or $1,200, which it does frequently do throughout the year. Now, if you want to see other lenses that are fantastic for Sony full frame cameras, click or tap right there. I'll see you in that video. As always, if you have questions, ask me in the comments below or join my live stream Wednesday nights at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you again soon in the next video. Cheers.